Hello, everybody. Ty Crandall here with Credit Suite on our weekly coaching webinar. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, and I've got about 50 minutes. I got to jump off here about 10 minutes early today because I have another webinar that I got to jump into that I got to be into a few minutes early. I'm not sure how to get into it yet. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to first of all give you a quick overview of SBA's PPP program because this has been updated. As of Sunday, 48 hours ago, we received underwriting guidelines, and some of the things I talked about last week have definitely changed. We have answers to some questions that we've not known the answers to. So I want to give you an update on everything you need to do to get in on this PPP program and to also get your clients in. I'm also going to talk about how you can make money helping other people with these SBA loans right now as a partner. I'm also going to talk to you about a state of the industry with what's going on with business funding, where the money is, what kind of lending is still taking place, what kind of lending is not taking place. We're going to take a look at others that are no longer in business. I mean, it's just crazy right now. It's like Wild West. So a lot of stuff to jump into. Let's jump into PPP right away. So if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, here's how it works. SBA has two programs mainly. They in the past have had what's called a 7A and a 504 loan. Then when this whole thing went down with the coronavirus, they released $50 billion. That's called an EIDL loan, an economic injury disaster loan. You're going to hear me refer to this as EIDL today. The EIDL loan, basically, an overview, loans can be up to $2 million. Interest rates of 3.75% for profit, 2.75% for nonprofit. Loan terms up to 30 years. And when you apply for this, which somebody can apply directly online with the Treasury, that you can also get a $10,000 grant. This requires normal SBA credit requirements. So somebody has to have business credit in order to be able to get this program. Great way for you to sell business credit. They also need to have 620 plus FICO score on the consumer side. They also are going to be asked for collateral if they're borrowing over $25,000. If they don't have collateral, the loan can still be approved, even if they don't have have collateral. This was the first loan that SBA released. Okay, now what happens is these loans are for if your revenue decreased, your sales decreased, your expenses increased. Now what's happened is this has been set aside. We're not underwriting these right now. What's being underwritten now is the newest loan that came out, the Paycheck Protection Plan, okay, the PPP. So the PPP plan, the Paycheck Protection Plan is really designed for people that have payroll. And here's an overview of this program. A lot's changed. So I'm going to give you an overview, including the things that were updated from last time we spoke. So you can get approved if you were in business before February 15th, 2020. The guidelines also added that you need to have paid an employee or 1099 contractor during that time as well. So if you had a business before this time and that business paid an employee or a contractor, even if the employee or contractor was you, then you can qualify. You need to have been affected by the coronavirus. We're going to talk about the acknowledgments you need to sign and agree to, stating that you were. You need to have less than 500 employees per location, and this includes sole proprietors, independent contractors, self-employed persons. As of last week, we now know, or as of the new guidelines, we now know that there are two separate application times here. So on the applicants that are sole proprietors or businesses, small business owners, you can apply right now. If you haven't already, you got some serious problems if you're even going to get approved, and we'll talk about that. If you're an independent contractor or self-employed, you can't even file until Friday. And hopefully, I wish you the best of luck, because I don't even know if the money's going to be available as of Friday, and we'll talk about that as well. But that is the rule. Independent contractors 1099 applies Friday the 10th, and everybody else can apply Friday the 3rd, which is last Friday. You can also get approved as a nonprofit, even a religious organization, which is unlike most SBA loans. How much can you get? You can get an average of the last 12 months of payroll. This is a change from last week. SBA's application said they were going to look at 2019 payroll numbers. We now know they're going to look at the last 12 months of your payroll. This matters a lot because you're going to need documentation for 2019 and 2020 about payroll. I'm going to tell you here in a few minutes exactly what kind of applications you're going to need and how to get them. So here's how we do it. Here's how we figure out how much you're going to get. Well, I'll tell you this and I'll go back. Here's how we figure out how much you're going to get. We basically aggregate payroll costs of the last 12 months. We add them all up. We take all the payroll costs for the last 12 months. If you want to know what's included in the payroll cost, I'll show you that right now. So we're going to add all this stuff up. This is what's in payroll costs. I'm not going to read it all. I'll let you look through it as I go through it. So we're going to come in, we're going to add up everything to do with payroll costs: salary, wages, tips, vacation pay, dismissal, proof of health insurance, retirement benefits, state, local taxes, all that stuff. We're going to add it all up over the last 12 months. Then we're going to divide it by 12 because we're looking for an average of 12 months. So we're going to divide that number by 12. Then we're going to multiply that number by 2.5, and that's going to tell us how much we're going to get. Now, there is a caveat here. We can have to exclude any amount over $100,000 on your salary. So let me say, for example, you pay yourself as $150,000. Let me make sure here. See if I've got no sound here. Oh, I have. Linda says you have no sound. But I can't, you can't hear me, Linda. I think everybody else can hear me, right? Just give me a quick yes if you can hear me, because Linda says she has no sound. Okay, so everybody's good. So Linda, I'm sorry, hopefully you can reset this, and I know you can't hear me, so that doesn't help you. So we're gonna exclude anything over $100,000. Okay, so if you pay yourself $150,000, they're gonna take $100,000 of your payroll, and they're gonna exclude the 50. The 50 cannot be included into the payroll. Anything over 100 grand will be excluded. The 100 will be included. Anything over 100 will be excluded. Okay, then in the last thing we're going to do is, if you already have that EIDL loan, I told you, if you already have that, we're going to add that back in as well. That's going to be added into this loan. You can't have both. They're going to add that one back into this one if you already have it. That's how we figured out. So for most of you, you don't have this. Very few people have the EIDL. So what we're really going to talk about here is they're going to look at your payroll over the last 12 months, excluding anything over 100 grand. We're going to add it all up. We're going to divide it by 12. And then what we're going to do is multiply it times 2.5. And that's how much money you can actually be given. Now, the loan payments are deferred for 6 months. I'm about to show you how to never need to make a loan payment. But you need to keep in mind that they're deferred for 6 months, because it's important for you to see that you're never going to need to make a loan payment on this if you're smart. I'm going to teach you how to be smart. You don't need collateral for this. You don't need a personal guarantee. There's no prepayment penalty. 100% SBA guaranteed. The loan has a maturity of 2 years and an interest rate of 1% if you do pay it back. I'm going to teach you how to never have to pay this back. I'm about to teach you that here in a minute. Okay, so here's an example, simple example. No employees make over 100 grand. Your annual payroll total was 120,000 when you added it up. We divide it by 12, we get 10 grand. We multiply it times 2.5 times, we get 25 grand is how much money you get lent. That's a simple example of exactly how we're going to calculate how much money you're actually going to be given. So when can you apply? Okay, well, actually, let me get back to forgiveness here before I even jump to this. Let's talk about forgiveness. Let's talk about how to never have to pay the loan back. The loan will be 100% fully forgiven if the funds are used for these things. Very important. In the past, I've included debt payments on existing debt. That was not in the guidelines. That was excluded from the guidelines. So here's the change. The loan will be fully forgiven if within the first 8 weeks after you get the loan, you're using it for these purposes: 75% or more for payroll. I just showed you what all the payroll expenses were, so you now know. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to get the slide deck as well when we're done. Okay, and you can use up to 25% of this for utility payments. You can use it for rent. You can use it for utilities. You can use it for interest on mortgages, and that's it. Again, in the bill said you could use it for payments on existing debt. They excluded that. It's only interest on mortgages, rent, and utilities. So if you use 75% or more towards payroll, up to 25% for interest on mortgages, rent, or utilities, within 8 weeks after the loan is issued, the money will be 100% forgiven. So here's what would happen. You'd come in, you'd get together the documents that prove this, and I'll talk about this in a minute. You'd submit it to the loan servicer. They have 2 months to review it, and then they will forgive if, again, you've conformed to what I just told you. So think about it. The loan payment's not due for 6 months. They care about what happens the first 2 months after the loan is issued. You use the money for payroll. You use it for utilities. You prove that you did. They take 2 months to review that, and then the loan is forgiven. So basically, within that 6-month time period, the whole loan can be forgiven. If any of it is excluded and not forgiven, that is then when you would come in and you would pay this 2.5% interest rate over or 1% over 2 years. This has changed. Last week I told you it was 0.5%. SBA guidelines came out Sunday and made it 1% paid back over 2 years if anything does not conform to what I just told you. Let me teach you how to do this. Set up a separate bank account. Okay, have the loan money go into that separate bank account. Okay, then pay your payroll from that bank account, and then also pay, your rent or mortgage interest, and then also pay your utilities from that bank account for the 8 weeks, and then prove to them you did that. That's the key to get this thing forgiven, okay? That is the absolute key. Now, here's the problem. You need to know this was not the case last week. You will owe money if you do not maintain your staff and payroll. Here's what they mean. This is exactly from SBA, copied and pasted. Number of staff. Loan forgiveness will be reduced if you decrease your full-time employee headcount. If you have less people, and this is a huge change from last week, so pay attention. If you reduce your headcount, then the loan forgiveness will be reduced. Level of payroll. Loan forgiveness will be reduced if you decrease salaries and wages by more than 25% for any employee who makes less than 100,000 annualized in 2019. Here's the big kicker. These are going to go back. You have until June 30th to restore your payroll levels to where they were during this time. This is a big change. The bill said that you needed to maintain payroll after the loan was issued. The guidelines have said that you need to restore payroll levels to the point of February 15th to April 26th. So if you have laid people off, in order to get 100% forgiveness, you need to hire them back by June 30th. If you don't hire them back, then part of the money will not be forgiven. How much? We don't know. The guidelines don't say how much. Now, I'm not telling you this. I'm just saying logically. If you think logically about this, here's how I think of it. If I reduce my number of staff by 10%, I think that they may, common sense, reduce my forgiveness by 10%. That's the way I'm guessing, but again, it's a complete guess. So again, it doesn't mean you have to restore your payroll to get the loan forgiven. It just means part of it may not be forgiven. And what's not forgiven, because maybe you had to lay some people off, if you didn't hire them back by June 30th, then what that would mean is that would mean that you would then have to pay back what's not forgiven over 2 years at a 1% interest rate. Okay, that's how that actually works. So as we talked about, the loan proceeds are used on these three things, not debt on past existing debt. Interest on mortgages, the mortgage that you had before February 15th, rent that you had, a lease before February 15th, utilities you had before February 15th, all of those can actually be forgiven. And to get the forgiveness, you'll submit a request to the person that gives you the loan. Requests will include documents that verify the number of full-time employees and pay rates, as well as payments on mortgages, lease, and utilities. And they'll have 60 days to review that. So I already told you exactly how to get around ever having to pay a mortgage payment if you conform to what we just talked about. Now let's talk about who can apply. If you are a regular business, a sole prop, you can already apply, and you already should have. If you haven't, you've got serious problems, and we'll talk about that in a minute. If you are 1099 self-employed contractor, you can apply as of April 10th. Okay, they're going to need SBA application and payroll docs. I'm going to tell you how to get those and what those are. This is a joke. You don't have till June 30th. You don't have anywhere close. Okay, so I don't know about you, but this is my news feed today. Okay, this is what I saw in my news feed. Everything from Wells Fargo stopping to take applications. Nightmare. 3 small business owners describe the process for PPP. We can see here Bank of America gets $6 billion in loan requests within hours, and on and on and on. You guys get it, right? People are pretty upset. It's exactly what I said was going to happen. The banks absolutely collapsed under the pressure. No surprise, banks. Here's what you need to know. Jennifer Kelly, SBA spokeswoman, said that as of 9:30 Monday, let's keep track. Loan applications were open on Friday morning. This is 1 business day later. 1 business day later, the program had guaranteed $38 billion to nearly 130 applicants. So let's do the math here, guys. Okay, there's $349 billion to lend, and $38 billion was lent in 1 day. So you get it. More than 10% of the money was lent in the very first day. So we are on track in less than 10 days for all of the money to actually be gone. Wells Fargo started accepting applications. They basically did over the weekend, and by Monday, they closed down applications. They were at max. They could not take more. The reason for that is that you won't maybe read is that Wells Fargo got in trouble because they had all those problems with those fake checking accounts, and they were capped at $10 billion. The government only allowed them $10 billion. And what happened was that they had said they already had enough applications through the weekend to account for their $10 billion. Wells Fargo closed it up. They are no longer even accepting applications with Wells Fargo. And we'll talk about how to get around that, what we're doing, how you can actually help your clients still benefit from that. All those things we're going to talk about in just a minute. When you fill out the application, here's the acknowledgments you're going to need. Oh, I spelled that wrong, but that's okay. I'm going to spell correct that now to drive me crazy. Here's the acknowledgments you need to sign off on. Current economic uncertainty makes the loan necessary to support your operations. Funds will be used to retain workers and maintain payroll or make mortgage, rent, or utility. You have not received another loan. This is a big change. We did not know this because the bill did not state this, and they have now clarified that you can only get one loan per individual. So that means if you have 3 companies, it does not matter. You will qualify for one loan to one person is how it's going to work. You will not be able to qualify for 3 loans. If you think that you're going to go out and get 3 loans and apply, and it's so confusing right now that you may be issued the loans, you're probably right. And they're probably going to make you pay back the 2 is what's going to happen. So be careful here. Only one loan is allowed per person, not per business. Okay. Document requirements. I'm not even going to tell you this stuff. I'm going to make it quick for you. So when it comes to document requirements, here are the actual document requirements that you are going to have. Okay. And I'm going to teach you how to get this. If you go to creditsuite.com/PPP, you could actually download this document. They said you're going to need their application. You can click to download it. I went ahead and got you the link for that. You're going to need a Form 940 to show your 2019 payroll numbers. I gave you that link for the IRS form there. And I downloaded the 941 for your 2020 payroll numbers, and I gave you a link to grab that as well. You're also going to need a 2019 payroll report, monthly payroll report showing the number of employees and their wages, driver's license to prove your identity, voided check where you want the money to go. And then you're going to be asked some questions like how many employees you had as of February 15th, what's your total 2019 employer and payroll cost, and if you filed for an EIDL loan. And the reason for that is that if you had an EIDL loan, they're going to roll this in. So what they're actually going to do here, as I mentioned in the example, is that they are going to come in and they are going to add in however much you have an outstanding balance for that EIDL loan. So they're going to give you 2.5 times your payroll, plus they're going to roll in an EIDL loan too, and that can be forgiven if you meet those other forgiveness requirements that we've already talked about. So that gives you a good overview there. Okay. Ineligibility, these are the people that are ineligible. You engage in illegal activity under state, federal, or local law. For example, marijuana. Okay, if you are in that industry, it's still illegal federally, so you would not qualify. A household employer, like individuals you employ in your household, such as nannies and housekeepers. An owner of 20% or more of the equity of the applicant is incarcerated on probation, on parole. Bottom line is a bad dude. If more than 20% of your ownership is owned by a bad dude that's had criminal problems before, you're going to get denied. And if you defaulted on an SBA loan within the last 7 years or are currently in default, sorry, you can't qualify. Those are, per their guidelines, who is ineligible. Okay, so from SBA, first come, first serve basis, we encourage you to apply as quickly as you can because there is funding cap and lenders need time to process loans. Again, went through what we're seeing in the news feeds, and let's look at some of the other realities. Bank of America received 10,000 loan applications in the first hour, 24 hours, business hours into this. They've received 177,000 applications for $32 billion, or nearly 10% of the money that's allotted. So keep in mind, they have not submitted all those applications yet. That was as of Monday. Okay, you could expect that to be double by now. So it gives you an idea that there's a good chance that Bank of America alone could be on second day at $50 to $60 billion in application money that's been supplied to them. Of the 360 billion, it's going fast, super fast. Okay, so that's the one thing that you need to know is that this money's going quickly. What are we doing about it? Here's what we're doing about it. Okay, we have an SBA broker that's helped us do all of our SBA loans. You've maybe worked with them before if you've ever done an SBA loan with him. He does my SBA loans. He does Credit Suites. He does our own personal loans. He did ours last year. He's helping us with a PPP loan. He does all of our SBA financing, and here's what he's got set up, and here is partners as how you can earn as well. So he charges a $2,000 application fee to work with him, not necessarily for the PPP loan. Okay, the PPP loan, they don't really want people charging up front fees, whether you're an agent or a broker. But again, he works within SBA's normal parameters, which allow him to charge a $2,000 upfront application fee, non-refundable, and then he helps with everything. He helps with the EIDL loan. He helps you get the $10,000 grant. He helps you get the Paycheck Protection Plan, the PPP loan. Okay, he helps you get an SBA 7A and 504 if you can qualify for those. Right now, SBA 7A and 504 are put on hold. Those are nowhere to be found. PPP is what the time is being spent with SBA. Then they'll circle back to EIDL. Okay, of this, okay, with what we get, we basically are giving you 250 bucks. So whenever you're coming in, if you're helping somebody get one of these loans, you can help do what I do. I tell them all, go to a community bank first, go to your bank second. If they can't help you, I've got our own personal guy that charges $2,000. If you want, I'll send you over there. But the good thing about him is he works with 10 SBA plus sources. He works with small community banks. He works with the big banks. He's getting these applications in when we're seeing the big banks just fail to do so. And again, on every one of these things, of course, he keeps the majority of the fee, but he pays us a referral fee. And then we're also paying you on that referral fee as well, which is 250 bucks on everybody you send over that comes in with documentation that they need that we send over there. So again, I already showed you the docs that somebody's going to need. And again, you can go to creditsuite.com/PPP to download this. This is what they're going to need documentation wise. If they come in with this documentation and you submit them for direct funding like you normally do, we will move them over to him. He will charge the $2,000 fee. At the end of the week, he'll basically pay us. And then when we get paid, we're then paying you, of course, that Friday. So when we get the money, we run it through our accounting, and then that Friday, you're going to get paid 250 bucks on every single one of these that you have. So if that helps you, then this is a great way to help people that are really struggling right now to get these applications in. And again, you can still get paid. Now, that being said, look, guys, it's as simple as this. This is the path I chose. Okay. When I looked at how we could do our own PPP loan, I chose this path. I went to my expert. I pay my expert to handle our file, and I have him handle Credit Suite's file the same as he got our 7A loan done last year. This is my own personal guy. He's my friend. He handles all my own personal loans. I had him staff up so he can help our clients as well. So that's how you can get paid. That's how you can earn money. Now, whoa. Okay, so let me go ahead. I got a bunch of questions here. So let me answer these questions, okay? Regina says, did you add this PowerPoint in the back office? I will when this webinar is done. But if you go to creditsuite.com/PPP, you can go download it right now at the bottom of the page. Valerie says, what if you are your only employee, you can still get the PPP loan? Jan says, does the Credit Suite have a PPP lender? We just talked about that. We are a Del Mar Credit in San Diego, your client. Hey, Jan, that's cool. Awesome. But yes, I just gave you all that information. Jonathan, if you want to max what you can borrow, is one strategy to get the EIDL and then PPP so it can be added and all forgiven? Look, it doesn't matter if you could do that. Yeah, absolutely. And our SBA broker would have you do both. But you can apply with EIDL if you go directly to disasterloan.sba.gov. You can apply. So sure, absolutely, that's smart. Apply for the EIDL loan. The problem you're going to have, Jonathan, is that those aren't being processed now for weeks to come. You're going to get the PPP before you ever get the EIDL. What's a $10,000 grant? Part of the money that was set aside included $17 billion for $10,000 grants. First come, first serve. So when you apply for EIDL with my broker or our broker, he will get you applied for the EIDL or for the grant. If you go to apply at disasterloan.sba.gov and you apply on your own for EIDL, there's a checkbox that you can check to apply for the $10,000 grant. John says, all my people are independent contractors. Can I get a loan for them using them instead of employees? John, they can apply on their own. So as 1099, they can apply for what they need on their own, but you can't count them as employees. And it's a fantastic question because as of Sunday, I didn't know an answer to that either. But as of Sunday, 1099 applies on their own and you cannot use them as actual employees. So you may, John, want to go for the EIDL instead. So hopefully that provides some clarity there on how all of that actually works. Okay, so other programs, we talked about EIDL. They are also doing SBA debt relief. So if you already have an SBA loan, they will forgive 6 months worth of payments and interest. They did this for us. And they will also pay the principal and interest of a new 7A loan that you got prior to September 2020. So if you got this prior to, they will pay 6 months worth of payments for that. They did that for us. I told you about the $10,000 grant. There's a $25,000 express bridge loan program that you can get when you apply for EIDL as well. Our broker helps with all of that as well. So I just don't know, like this, there's no guidelines, don't even say how to get either one of these or how to get this. The $10,000 grant checkbox just became magically available last weekend on SBA's website. There's nothing that says in the guidelines how to get the $25,000 grant, but that's a bridge loan. But that's why we go through our own broker, because he helps us with all of that. But these are other programs that are available as well. So I'm going to answer any other questions you guys have on this, but I'm going to jump to other funding as well to tell you what's available on other funding, how you can make money. Janella says, hey, Ty, what if you have more than one business? Can you apply for a disaster loan for each business? Yes, I've seen no restrictions on the EIDL for multiple businesses. From everything I've seen, you can apply for multiple EIDL loans. I'm making an assumption. I have not seen a guideline that says you can or can't. So I'm making an assumption because I've not seen a guideline that says that you have not. So that's how I'm answering that question. Marcia says, what documents do you need? Okay, what documents do you need for a church? You need everything at creditsuite.com/PPP. If you go to creditsuite.com/PPP, this is a list of documents you're going to need. It doesn't matter if you're a for-profit or a nonprofit, you're still going to need the same documents filled out. And that's all at creditsuite.com/PPP. If you go down under this form, you'll see documents needed. You can download this document and that gives you that. Nonprofits are including churches into the PPP program, but not the EIDL. SBA, I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I don't know why SBA doesn't like churches. I can't figure this out. But the SBA excludes religious organizations for their loans, including the EIDL. But they did open up PPP for churches and religious organizations. Okay, for a 10, and Paul says, Paul, what's up, man? I haven't talked to you in a long time. I'm glad you tuned in. For a 1099 self-employed person at $24,000 last year, they would get 5,000 PPP. 2,000 fee is a bit, well, it suggests, I don't, my suggestion, you're saying 2,000 fee is a bit steep for a $5,000 PPP loan. I completely agree. I wouldn't be paying an app fee for the 5,000 either. My advice is exactly what I started with. I tell all of our clients this, and my friends and family, look, if you work with a community bank now, apply through a community bank, you could be okay. If you work through a credit union, you could be okay as well. Or get your application in at one of the big banks and get in line and hope to get approved. I'm just supplying access to my guy if that makes any kind of impact. But right now, you guys see the news. If you don't bank with somebody, the big banks just are not accepting those applications if you don't bank directly with them. So that's why I provided my guy. Now, if you're coming in and only getting $5,000, Paul, then in that case, that person might want to get the EIDL and not the PPP loan. So that would be all my feedback on what you actually mentioned. Tracy says, I can't find that website, creditsuite.com/PPP. Well, let me look. I hope that's there. But if I go to creditsuite.com/PPP and I hit enter, then it pulls me right to here. Now you can see info at creditsuite.com/paycheck-protection, but I just went to creditsuite.com/PPP. If client only needs PPP is a 2,000 fee, application fee. If you're going to work, look, you don't have to pay an application fee no matter where you go. You don't. If you go to your bank, your credit union, et cetera, you don't have to pay a fee. But the bottom line is the guy that I work with, our own SBA broker, that's just what he charges to work with any and all kind of SBA loan handling. It's just what he does. So if somebody only needs an EIDL or only wants a $10,000 grant or only wants a 7A or only wants any of this, he's still going to charge that same amount. That's the way it is. Now, I'm not saying you should use them. You could go through a bank or credit union or anything, but you see what's going on. The reality is right now, if you're going to those other sources, you just may not get it. That's why I just paid my fee and went in and dealt with somebody that could actually help me get the loan placed. So hopefully that answers your question. Thanks. The website is there. Okay, Yoshika, what's up, Yoshika? I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a while either, but I did know that you're on our webinar the other day. Okay, so let's talk about other programs that are currently available. Remember the 3C formula: cash flow, credit, collateral. If you have a strength, you can get money based on the strength. The C aspect of it is still alive and running. The credit line hybrid program, we're still crushing it with right now. Lines of credit up to $150,000, no doc, 0% interest for 18 months. Some of these report to the Business Credit Reporting Agency. The guidelines are starting to tighten up. Nowadays, they want about a 680 FICO score or higher to get in the door. But if you are a guarantor, have a 680 plus FICO score, we are crushing it right now. And let me tell you why. What I've seen is business lending in general has really struggled. Anything based on cash flow or revenue is struggling. Anything based on credit credit cards, credit of any form is still okay. Business credit building, we're doing great. We've seen no change. We're still building business credit. Limits haven't been lowered. Everybody that's issuing business credit in the past is still issuing business credit now. We're crushing it. These are credit cards as well that you can take cash out on. These we're still crushing it with as well, okay? So all of these are still very popular and still working very well for our clients. And again, you can still get paid handsomely on these as part of our direct funding program. So again, you have options. If you're going in your back office to add a client, you can go to Premier Partner and just submit a customer. We do all the work. We sell the business credit, we sell the financing, you get paid. Or you could set up your own customer for direct funding. If you're executive, you could send them in to get funding and you get paid. Or you could sell the finance suite and earn your front end commission. And if you're executive, you get paid if we get them funding on the back end. Tons of options. But we're killing it on this program right now. We're doing a lot of these different ones, okay? I mean, a lot of these programs, because a lot of the other programs are decimated. So if somebody has a 680 FICO score or higher, or a guarantor that does, we can still get this program. Asset-based lending, we can still get as well. Anything that's based on assets, stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, inventory, equipment, purchase orders, account receivables, real estate, vehicles, book of business. If you have an asset that can be used collateral, this is huge. As a matter of fact, we just added a brand new product I haven't told you about, inventory financing on top of what we had before. It's for e-commerce entrepreneurs. So if you have somebody that has an Amazon store, they sell stuff on Amazon. They need to get $10,000 worth of inventory to sell on Amazon. We actually use crowdfunding to get the $10,000, and it happens in a day. We get them the money they need, typically within even an hour, that they need to buy the inventory. Then they pay back the loan as they sell the inventory. So that's the kind of funding that's still available readily right now. If you are using and you have an asset that can be used as collateral, you can still get low interest rate credit lines using that. Now, if you look at the volume of loan programs we offer at Credit Suite that you could tap into, the vast majority, 90 to 95% of those are completely available as of today. Here's where things suck. Cash flow financing, the subprime lending. So cash flow financing used to be send me 3 months worth of bank statements. If your revenue is consistent, we'll lend you as much as 10 to 15% of that actual revenue. This has been decimated, and for reasons you could probably imagine, because again, what happens is everybody's revenue stopped. Okay, here's what I look at. I look at On Deck. On Deck is the biggest publicly owned company they're the only publicly owned company in the cash flow and revenue lending space. Here, you want to see what happened to cash flow financing? Look, here's what happened. That's the reality. Okay. I always look at their stock because it shows you the health of what's happening with that product. You can see that their whole model is based on you have consistent revenue. You can be lent money based on your future revenue. We intend that your future revenue will stay consistent. Then overnight, everybody's revenue stopped. Places like Cabbage immediately shut down. Places like Lendio immediately started sending all of their files to SBA. They only do SBA PPP loans. Everybody that was in the revenue lending space shut their doors and went out of business, just like in the mortgage industry, or they ceased and paused lending to regroup. And most of them are desperately trying to offer SBA loans to try to just keep afloat till they figure out how to redo their entire model. Think about it, guys. PPP loans might not even exist next week. And you have people like Lendio that's sole business right now as PPP loans. When you move your whole business model to offer a loan that's not even going to exist in a week, then you know you're in trouble. Okay, so here's what happened. Cash flow financing off a cliff. They went from $4.22 to even where they are now, they are at $1. I mean, that's a massive hundreds of % decrease. So this is just decimated right now. You're not going to be able to get people money based on their cash flow unless they have good credit, 700 plus FICO. They've been in business a couple years, 2 years or more. Okay. On top of that, I think the requirement is that they want you to do like $250,000 a year in annual revenue. That's On Deck's new requirement. They went from a 500 credit score to a 700 credit score. They went from you needing to have 120,000 a year in revenue to 250. They went from you being in business 1 year to you being in business 3 years. So this money is available, but you can't even call it subprime anymore. because it's basically only good credit borrowers, that good time in business, etc., can get this. Now, I'm going to go back to some questions here, but because I want to make sure that all these things are answered. But again, and then I'll continue on. Okay, check out this new link. Okay, and I will check that out. Really good info. Thank you. What if your personal utilization is now maxed due to paying business expenses and payroll? Well, then you've got some problems. Possibly they do have pay down loans available, bridge loans, where you could pay down your existing credit card debt to apply for the credit line hybrid, but there's no flipping way I would recommend it, because it's at 30% interest is what they charge. It's absurd. So I'm telling you, it is possible if you're in desperation mode to get a bridge loan to pay that down, but the bridge loan's 30%. So I just don't recommend that right now because I think it's crazy. And Daniel says, is the credit line hybrid the UBF? Yes, the credit line hybrid is the old UBF program. We just kind of went through a rename on it, calling it the credit line hybrid. And he says, this is crazy. Tracy says, can app owner uses $1 million property as collateral? Yes, you can actually. I've even got a hard money guy that will let you use equity in a private home, even your primary home, as equity. I had a guy that couldn't get a mortgage right now because all of his income was stated income, and mortgages, they're not doing stated income. He was able to help him. So yes, you can use equity in a property, even a home, as collateral to get financing. We have sources. And Samel says, my husband applied for the hybrid and was denied because he only has 2 personal credit cards that only had 9 months old. His credit score is 790. He was told, yes, that's correct. So with this credit line hybrid program, you have to keep in mind the entire approvals are based on your credit history. So what they're looking at is your existing revolving credit cards. You need to have at least 1 credit card with a 2-year history on it. You need to make sure that your utilization is below 40%, preferably below 30%. You need to have less than 6 inquiries on the credit report within the last 12 months. You need to have a credit card open for at least 2 years, and one of them needs to have at least a $2,000 balance. The credit needs to be strong enough to show that somebody has history with revolving accounts for this program to work. If it's not, and there's not enough what we call depth to the credit, or we get a what's called a false high credit score because the credit's not long enough to establish a real depth, then the person's not going to get approved, or will get approved for less money than the 150,000 or 5 to 8 times the amount of their highest credit limit account. So somebody can get usually 5 to 8 times the amount of their highest credit limit account. That can be reduced if your utilization's too high, your inquiries are too high, your existing limits aren't high enough, you don't have enough credit. That can be reduced to 0 or reduced below 5 to 8 times if that's criteria, and that's exactly why. And then Samel says, can I be a co-signer? Yes, you can, but look, we call it a guarantor. They're not even going to use his credit. They're only going to use your credit to qualify for that. But yes, you can. Now, also remember with credit line hybrid, they're going to give you 2 options here. They're going to give you what we call max funding. Max funding means they give you as much money as you can get using what we call standard cards. Standard cards just simply mean it reports to the consumer credit reporting agencies. And then they combine business credit cards that report to the business credit reporting agencies. If I want max funding, I'm going to get cards that report to both places. Or I can get to the funding source and say, I only want business reporting cards. The minute I say that, it reduces the amount of money I'm going to get to maybe 3 to 5 times my highest credit limit versus 5 to 8 times my highest credit limit. So you need to tell your clients this. You and your clients are going to have a choice here. You can choose of getting max funding, which includes personal and business reporting cards, or you can just choose to get business reporting cards. Either way. So let me give you an example. Let's say my dad's going to co-sign for me and be a guarantor. I don't want my credit to show on dad's credit report. So I would only get the business card so they build my business credit and it doesn't report on my dad's credit report. That's what I would do. Now, let's say I'm applying and right now the coronavirus is upon us. I'm getting every freaking dollar I can get. I'm going to get max funding. I'm going to get standard and business cards, and I'm not going to use the standard cards. I'm only going to use the business cards, and I'll leave the standard cards in case I need them. So there's 2 scenarios of why you might get max funding versus the standard, just the business cards. Okay, so again, a review of funding. You can still get this, our most popular program. Right now, it accounts for 75% of all funding outside of SBA. Good credit, 680 plus FICO, you or a guarantor. Guarantor could be anybody that you want it to be, family member, friend, relative, non-relative, doesn't matter. You're gonna need to have, okay, less than 6 inquiries in the last 6 months. If you have more than that, it'll reduce your funding. Your utilization should be less than 30%. If it's more than that, it's going to reduce your funding. You need to have at least one credit card with a $2,000 limit, or you might not get approved. That credit card may need to have 2 years worth of history, or you might not get approved. If you meet that criteria, you can usually get 5 to 8 times the amount of your highest credit limit, up to $150,000. No doc, no bank statements, no revenue required, 0% rate for 8 to 18 months. The business cards help somebody build business credit as well. Let me tell you how we're selling business credit right now so everybody knows. We are coming in, and if they have good credit, we submit them through direct funding to get this program. In your back office, in the funding section of your partner resources, there's a document I created that they can sign off stating if you get them this money, they agree to buy the actual finance suite. And then we are coming in, getting them the funding, and then they are using the funding to buy the business finance suite from us. That's how we're selling it. But we are still selling business credit the normal way we've always sold it, okay, using our sales process. If you're not familiar with that, 3-4 weeks ago, I did a webinar on our sales process. You could go check out the webinar, and I give you our actual sales process, including the scripting, the wording we use, everything, so you could download it. So when somebody comes in, we ask them, do you have good credit? They say yes. We sell them on a 2-step process. Hey, step 1, we're going to get you all the money you can get now through this credit line hybrid program. Here's the details how it works. You can get up to 150 grand, 5 to 8 times the amount of your highest credit limit, no doc, 0% financing for 6 to 18 months. You can get max funding if you want, standard and business cards, or just business cards report to the business credit reporting agency. These will give you a jump start to building your business credit and give you a bunch of cash now. How's that sound? Sound good? Perfect. Second question, do you want to continue to personally guarantee the money you get for your business? What do you mean? I mean, do you want to be liable? Do you want to sign as a guarantor in the future when you continue to get credit and financing, or do you want to get away from personal guarantees? Well, I want to get away from personal guarantees. Well, then that's step 2. Step 2 is that we have a business credit builder. This is where we improve your fundability to help you get the maximum amount of funding for your business. And this is also where we start helping you build business credit for your EIN that's not linked to your social. 30, 60 days in, you're able to get credit at Home Depot, Lowe's, Sam's Club, Costco, Amazon, Walmart, most major retailers. You can start to get that credit a couple months in without a personal guarantee and credit check. As you're using more of that credit, 6 to 8 months down the road, you can start to get auto financing and Visa card, MasterCard, cash financing, all that without a personal guarantee and personal credit check. It's a 2-step process. Get you the money you can get now, get you away from guarantees. How's that sound to you? Sounds great. Here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to submit you over to lender to get you approved for up to the $150,000. Again, 5 to 8 times the amount of your highest credit limit account. Okay, I'm going to send you a document before I do that says that this is our plan, and you're going to come in and get the business finance suite as soon as you get the funding. Okay, you sign the document, I'll get you submitted over here. We're going to get you the funding you need. You're going to use the funding you need to pay the $3,000 to get started with the business credit builder, get you away from guarantees, credit check, open up a bunch more funding for you. How's that sound? Sounds like a plan. Boom, here's document, send it to you. If you are like us, we put the document online through an electronic signature. We get the electronic signature. We then send them in for direct funding to get this program done. When they get funded, then we immediately are following up with them. And this is you. I'm saying what we would do for our clients as you would do for your own. And then we're immediately following up with them to then sell the business credit builder. That's how we do it. That's how we're doing it right now. I recommend you do it. Where are we in all this? Credit Suite right now, as of April, our sales are up. Our sales right now have increased in April. In March, we did we grew in March. Our revenues increased month after month, and our revenues increased in March. I'm not saying this to brag. A lot of people have a hardship right now. I'm just telling you, you and I are in the right place. By offering business credit and financing, we have the solution everybody needs right now. So if you're taking advantage of this, you're able to help people with SBA loans. You're able to help people get credit line hybrid. You're able to help people get other kind of financing. You're able to help people build business credit, get high limit accounts, get away from personal guarantees, no cash flow, no credit, no collateral required. And you're making a lot of money right now because people desperately need what you need. I mean, look, a lot of you got started as a partner, as a secondary service. A lot of you believe this to be a recession-proof business. A lot of you believe that there's going to be an opportunity in the past and in the future for people to get money. And guess what? You're smart. You're right. All of you are right. We actually have a recession-proof business. And now our business is booming when unfortunately so many other people aren't, because we're able to help the people that desperately need us. And if you think that this is over the end of April or May, you got to pay attention to what's going on. This is going to continue. Eventually, all these restrictions will be lifted and people will start to get to a new norm, and they're going to be uncomfortable and things will slowly start to return to a new normal. Then there's going to be a new normal. And then through all of this, you're going to find that people are going to desperately need access to money. And as a partner, you have the ability to actually help them get that money. So that's how we're selling it. Hopefully that provides you some value and guidance as well. Okay. And again, business credit and the business credit builder still is the way to go. We are still selling more of those than we ever have in the past. Okay, so every month we continue to grow. So I'm going to open this up for questions. I have about 10 more minutes. While I do that, I'm going to go ahead and log into my back office to show you how to submit customers over, but I want to answer every question you have. I will tell you this much: business credit sources have not declined approvals. We are seeing the same amount of approvals that we've always seen. We're seeing the same thing on the credit line hybrid as well. We're seeing approvals like we've always seen. We're seeing the same thing on the asset-based lending like we always have. Those areas are untouched and are healthy. And I told you about the area that's unhealthy right now: the lines of credit, the term loans, the revenue loans. Anything linked to revenue is in a holding pattern now until we figure this out. Okay, so that being said, let me go in and answer any other questions you have before we wrap up. Okay, Daniel Garcia says, I have a 690, 720 FICO, 9.9% utilization, 1 inquiry, 4 Experian, okay, a card, 15 personal loan, no late, no judgments, no BK, no repo, no child support, no evictions. Is that good for credit line hybrid? Yes, that is. You should be fine here. And then what you want to do is you want to figure out what your highest limit revolving account is, Daniel, and you could usually get about 8 to 10 times that amount. And Robin says, what if that one card is just about maxed out? You have to pay it down below 30%, or we'll get you to a lender that has an actual pay down loan. But that pay down loan is, the pay down loan is at a pretty high interest rate. So my advice is that you try to pay that down on your own, but we do have solutions there. Alan says, in PPP, the 2.5 times amount is based only on wages, or does that include rent, utilities? It only includes wages, Alan. So when we look at the 2.5 times with the PPP program, you can go to creditsuite.com/PPP and download this PowerPoint, but here is the payroll cost calculation so you know. And Samel says, man, Samel, I'm sorry if I know I'm mispronouncing your name, and I'm apologizing that I am. I just can't seem to get that right. What was the name of the program where you can use your equity in your home? I don't have a name for it at all. But what I can tell you is if you're talking to our funding team, we do have a program that can use the actual equity in your home, but we've only got like one lender that does it, and we don't have an actual name. I don't have a fancy name assigned for that program. What does a borrower sign that they say that they're suffering from the problem? That's the SBA loan application. The SBA loan application's got acknowledgments on it. These are the acknowledgments that they will have to sign, and I copied and pasted these from SBA's underwriting guidelines so you know. And Carla says, what if a client has a credit score of 790, a highest limit on credit cards 4,000? They can get 5 to 8 times that amount of money. So you're looking at being able to get about 5 to 8 times the actual 4,000. So that's all you have to do. So if you want to figure out about max funding for them that they could get, you take the 4,000, you multiply it times 8, you're about $32,000. That's about what they're able to get in funding with that program. Paul says, do you have any finance officers who speak Spanish? We do not, Paul. I'm sorry. Well, our suite is in Spanish. But here's what happened here, guys. What happened, unfortunately, was we just didn't have enough demand. We had Spanish-speaking people, and they're hard to find. And they're not as good as non-speaking Spanish. I'm not saying Spanish-speaking people are worse or better. I'm just saying that we had a really hard time of finding people that operate to our standard and also spoke Spanish. So we just didn't have enough interest to keep those people employed. And Daniel says 11,000 is the highest. So you're going to get about 5 to 8 times that amount. So you could be looking at about 80 to 90,000 in funding is what you can get with that credit line hybrid. So that being said, I am going to wrap up here today. Guys, look, you're in a very good place. I've been saying for years to business loan brokers that you cannot go all in on business revenue lending, that the program was unstable, that the program was more than likely going to collapse. And here's where we are now. So here's what's going on. Now what's going on is now Cabbage, you're out of business. Lendio is now only offering SBA PPP loans. Blue Vine has closed their doors to anybody else that's outside of, or they've closed their doors to accepting new applications from what we've seen. All these guys are decimated now. And guess who's standing? You and I. Because we came in and we were smart, we diversified. We made sure that we offered all these different products to our customers. We didn't hang our hat on one, and the people that hung their hat on one are in serious trouble right now. I'm doing a webinar tomorrow on how loan brokers can work with us, because so many loan brokers are now out of business because they were only relying on revenue lending. Because we offer business credit and it's still running strong, because we diversified with all these different funding programs, everything is still going strong. And now we're helping with SBA. So you and I have the ability to help a lot of people and make a lot of money during this as a primary or secondary income stream, where a lot of industries are just decimated right now. So you've got a really good opportunity. If there's anything we can do to help, just reach out to your support team, support@creditsuite.com. And if you go to support@creditsuite.com, then our team will actually be able to help answer any questions you have, help you either refer customers where we do all the work, or we can help jump on a phone and close deals with you, or we can even help, or you can do all the closing on yourself or bring them in for direct funding. A lot of options here. You can refer a customer to us and we do all the work through Premier Partner. If you go to add clients in your back office, that option is available. The other thing you can do is you can also come in and sell the finance suite and we'll help them get funding. You can actually come in and you could bring them in just for direct funding if you're an executive member. So a lot of options to be able to help a lot of people right now. If we can help you, just reach out to your support team, support@creditsuite.com. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. Alan says, great training again. Thanks, Alan. I love that you're always here, man. I love having you here. Your presentation excellence is dependable, and that's huge for people like me. I appreciate that. April says, you didn't show us the back office form. I'm having a hard time right now accessing the back office form. So I don't know if I'm gonna do it, but what I meant to say was add clients right here. So if you go to this add clients button, everything you need to submit customers is right here in this section. And when you click here, it's going to give you multiple options. I'm about to email Megan right now because my system's running slow. I don't know what the deal is with that. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and figure that out right now. How do you submit customers? You go to add clients in your back office. And then once you go to add clients, you actually will have many different options. So once you go to add clients in your back office, and this will give you options of either submitting somebody for Premier Partner where you just refer them, submitting them for direct funding where you can only do that if you're executive, selling an actual business finance suite. All those are options under add clients. Chris says, how do I get in on your loan broker webinar tomorrow? It will be live on YouTube and we will start it at 11 o'clock Eastern. So if you're on our YouTube channel and subscribe, you'll be notified. Also, if you go to here, I'm going to go ahead and put something in the chat super quick. So this is going to be in the chat. I just went ahead and put the link. The link to the actual webinar registration in the chat as well. Okay, and can you show us the new form saying that they will buy it? I'm having problems right now. This is running a little slow, and I've actually run out of time. But if you go to Partner Resources Resource Library and go to the financing section, you'll find the form right there. That's where the form is. Okay, awesome information. Is that where the form is to agree to buy? Yes, that's where that is. Can I get the information on your hard money guide, please? Just reach out to us. Our direct funding program, or excuse me, if you come into our direct funding program or go to support@creditsuite.com, they will help you get an application submitted. But Tracy, I don't think any of our funding team just gives out lists of our lenders of any sort. So I don't know if they'll do that, but they will connect you with our with our actual broker that does that. And again, if you're looking for that form that we use, we go to Partner Resources Resource Library, and right here in the financing section, you're able to grab that. My system's running slow. I'm not sure if it's the system or the internet in my office. So I'm going to email Megan right now to get that corrected. And if you have any other questions, just reach out to us, everybody, support@creditsuite.com. I'm not going anywhere. I will be back tomorrow or next Tuesday at 3 o'clock Eastern. We'll dive in and talk a little bit more about what we talked about today with all kinds of new updates to make sure that you have everything you need to succeed with offering business credit financing. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I will see you next week. If you have any other questions, reach out to us, support@creditsuite.com.